Brought to you by Integrity Exteriors. Right now, 42 degrees and sunny outside with a real feel of 51. A low tonight of 36 degrees with apparently some snow on the way this weekend. Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. See Sparky Pfeiffer here. Charlie Usen over there. Coming up on today's show, we'll talk about the crew at 3 o'clock with Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel Brewers beat writer Curt Hogg will join us at 3. We're going to have Wojczulis on from our College Sports Weekly show on Saturday mornings from 9 to 11. He is at the Badger-Washington game down at the United Center in Chicago. He'll be calling in once that game is complete. If you're following along on the WI Sports Radio X account, he's putting pictures and videos and all that fun stuff as well. He'll keep you entertained throughout the game on the X account there too. Right now, the Wisconsin Badgers are up 20-7 in this game against Washington. Obviously, the Badgers, the better seed of the two. 8 points already for Nick Boyd. Hit both of his threes so far. And you got, 4 other players that have already scored 3 points in this game. So 20-8 now. Still about 10 minutes to go in the first half. So very early going down at the United Center. We'll keep you updated on that throughout. Got a bunch of different Brewers topics to do on today's show. Got a couple different Packers topics. We'll talk about Team USA in the next segment and the World Baseball Classic. But I want to start off first talking about a report out there from Easton Butler. Now, Easton Butler, we've had on this show multiple times. He is with Packer Report, kind of like insider for Packer Report. And he's all over, all the different workouts that teams are having with, different guys, the conversations they're having with different college guys. But he's also got some NFL connections as well that he's been throwing out there. So Easton Butler threw out there earlier today from Packer Report that, hey, it appears that Josh Sweat, edge rusher for the Cardinals, apparently has made it known that he wants out. And apparently that happened this week. And Josh Sweat is a guy that obviously could come in quickly and help the Green Bay Packers. Because as we've talked about here the last couple of days, they really don't have much as far as pass rushers go with any type of resume. Do they have upside guys? Yeah, they've got upside guys. Guys that could potentially do something and be that guy. Now, when I say that, I don't really consider Lucas Van Ness necessarily that guy. But you've got other guys like Brandon Cox, right? That could be a potential guy that could bust through. You just brought him back for a year, so maybe that's a guy that kind of turns the corner. And you've got draft picks from last year, like Oliver, who missed most of the year because of injury and came on at the end of last year. That's another guy. Got the kid from Texas is another guy. So you've got guys. Now, will any of them work out and take that step? I don't know. What I do know is this: when we start talking about Josh Sweat, this is a guy a little bit more experienced. Been around a little bit, been in the league since 2018. And guess where he was? Philadelphia. Where was Jonathan Gannon? Philadelphia. They were all together. John Hargrove was in Philly when Josh Sweat was in Philly. I mean, it would make a lot of sense if you can make it work financially. Last year, the man himself, Josh Sweat, played in 17 games, had 20 tackles, or 30 tackles, I should say, 20 solo tackles in that deal, 12 sacks last year in 2025 for Josh Sweat. 12. The year before that, for Philly in 24, a down year, he had 8. Year before that, 6.5. Year before that, 11. Year before that, 7.5. So this is a guy that has made it to double digits, unlike Rashawn Gary. Twice he's been in double digits, including as recently as last year. 6'5", 265 is what we're talking about here. That's a big dude, Charlie.
That's a solid player right there. That's something to be pretty excited about, especially when you have Micah Parsons on the other side of that defensive line. That duo together, that's something that I think a lot of people don't really I guess they weren't really expecting that type of move because he's just such an underrated player in the league right now, especially when he's playing in places like Arizona. But that's the type of move this Green Bay Packers teams need. It's a splash move with a name that isn't exactly that splash type of name. And I think that appeases a lot of the people asking for that type of move to be made.
Ken Ingalls, the internet salary expert for Packer fans, on X, quote tweeted Easton Butler's tweet and said Josh Sweat has an option bonus that triggers March 20th. If traded before then, the new team takes on a $12.7 million cap hit and $18.1 million in cash. The option bonus and its signing bonus, like proration, would move to the new team before this date. So you are working on a little bit of a timeline right here as we sit here today on March 12th. Thank goodness Charlie writes that on the rundown every day. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to tell you what day or date it is. So March 12th. So we're working on about a week's time here. There's a slight issue. You don't have a one this year. You don't have a one next year. And I'm not telling you that it's definitely going to take a one to get him. But the dude had 12 sacks last year, right? I mean, there is something to that. Maybe it won't take a one. Maybe it'll take a two, right? Or a two and something else. Earlier today, Adam Schefter was on ESPN, and Adam Schefter was talking about the fact that the thing that he's hearing the most right now is that teams in general covet draft picks in 2027. But word around the league is they think that draft is going to be loaded. So a lot of these teams are trying to figure out how to add picks in 27. And we already know right now the Packers are sitting on 3 comp picks, potentially 4 when Rasheed Walker ever signs, on top of what their draft picks are, which does not include a 1 next year or this year. So while they could trade draft picks, maybe a pick this year and a pick next year, or maybe it's 2 picks next year because you have the comp picks coming, they could go that way. But the other way they could go, which was brought up by Mark Oldacres from Cheesehead TV and Packers Wire, is a different idea. And that is trading a player for a player. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know if this player gets it done by himself. Maybe he does. Maybe it's this player and a pick. But Mark Oldacres put on X and said, Cardinals don't have a natural slot receiver after Greg Dortch hit free agency. Josh Sweat for Jaden Reed. Who says no? So with that, thank you, Mark Oldacres. We're going to turn that into our topic on our show and just blatantly steal it right from you and use it for the purpose of Wisconsin Sports Daily. So that's the question. Josh Sweat coming off of 12 sacks, 6'5" edge rusher. Go get him. But you give up Jaden Reed. So that then means it's definitely going to be Golden and Christian Watson as your top 2 guys. And then you have Savion Williams, you have Wicks, and you have Sky Moore. Those are other receivers. One would think at that point that they would either have to go draft another receiver or potentially use free agency to get another receiver, one way or the other, if they were to make this move. Jaden Reed as a slot, it's really nice. Really, really nice. Jaden Reed as a slot receiver. Now, how much value is there to the Green Bay Packers for that position? Don't know. Could Matthew Golden play in the slot? I think he could. I do. So the question to you is this. Josh Sweat for Jaden Reed, would you do it? Nicolay Law Talk and Text Line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250, on the socials at WI Sports Radio. I'll start. Hell yes, I would do this. In a freaking heartbeat. Plus, he's under a contract for a couple more years. Again, as far as Josh Sweat goes, I would. Because then I don't got to worry about that edge position at all going into the draft. Now I got more than enough guys over on the other side. So now, if you look at this defense, if you were to add Sweat, you have Sweat and Parsons. Good. You got Javon Hargrave right there in the middle. And then you've got the linebacker you get from the Colts back there as well. To me, you are in a much better position defensively than you were when the year ended last year if you get this Sweat deal done to add to what you've already done.
And you look at the guys that are available in free agency right now, wide receiver wise. The reason I would do this trade is because if you want to find somebody to replace slot wide receiver, Stephon Diggs is out there. He can play anywhere on the field, but he's most notable for his route running ability. So you can put him in the slot really easily there.
Put him on the outside and put Gibbons in the slot.
Wherever you want.
Sure.
Darnell Mooney can play the slot really well. You have Curtis Samuel, which has made money over the past few years being a slot receiver, being able to be that multi-talented type of player. You have Greg Dortch, who is still out there for agency, so you could steal him from the Cardinals too if you wanted to do that. You have other options out there if you're the Green Bay Packers to help replace Jayden Reed. And I really like Jayden Reed. I think what he showed at the end of the season last year and being able to be a threat consistently for this team when he's healthy can really be valuable. But you can also find other players that I think can do that for you. I don't know if you can find another player like Josh Sweat to put at defensive end.
Correct. And part of this goes to whatever you believe in the philosophy that it takes to win championships. Because really, at the end of the day, as a Packers fan whose hometown is Title Town for good reason, if it truly is Super Bowl or bust on a year-to-year basis, the old saying has always been defenses win championships. That's always been the saying for as long as I can remember, right? You may not have to have a top 3 offense, but if you've got a top 3 defense, you're going to give yourself a chance to do something. Defense travels, right? Doesn't matter where you want to play or the whole deal. That'll be all right. Run game. That normally is something else that will travel, regardless if it's the snow or whatever else. If I can move people in front of me, then we're going to be able to run in the snow, in the mud, in dry conditions, on turf. Pick it. We're going to go. And defensively, if you're really good defensively, it's not going to matter what you're playing in there either. That's going to be a problem for opposing teams. This dude had 12 sacks last year. You're going to line up and go, there's Micah Parsons. Hargrave's over here in the middle with Devontae White, who also showed his ability to potentially get to the quarterback from time to time. He's only going to see one-on-ones. Because if Sweat is next to him and Parsons on the other side, they're going to have to make decisions, which means Devontae White or whoever is playing there, depending on the situation, is going to see a lot of one-on-ones of being able to get himself into the backfield and just win his matchup at that point. I love this idea by Mark Oldacres. I am a fan.
Well, and I trust Devontae Wyatt. I trusted Javon Hargrave to be able to win a one-on-one some of those times at least. And that's all you need is some of those times because you assume either Micah Parsons or Josh Sweat can beat a double team.
Right.
Too. Both those guys should be able to win even when they're being double teamed. That's something really exciting. I think we also have to wonder, is Josh Sweat not wanting to be a part of the Cardinals because Jonathan Gannon isn't there and because this whole staff is changing through? Is he that attached to Jonathan Gannon? And if so,
great.
That would be awesome. That'd be perfect.
Pushing to get to Green Bay. If he's doing an NBA player move, I only want to play for the Packers.
He's been in Gannon.
Only going to play for the Packers.
He's been with Gannon in 2 different places now. He's signed with the Cardinals. He chose to go to the Cardinals when nobody else really wanted to. Sounds like he really likes being with Gannon. That could make it a really easy move for the Packers.
Oh, please. Josh Sweat, buddy, pal. If you're watching on X at WI Sports Radio, if you're watching, just go public with it. Just go public. Just say, hey, I want to play for Gannon. I want to play for the Packers. That's where I want to get traded to. That's where I'd like to be. And essentially put him in a bad spot. And now again, that doesn't mean they're going to listen to you. God knows the Trailblazers didn't listen to Lillard. They traded him somewhere other than where he wanted to be, which was Miami. So maybe it doesn't work. But if behind the scenes he's pushing them, I want to go play for Gannon. And if Gannon, because, they all could have had a conversation, those two. Hey, look, I'll work my building. You work your building. Let's get this done. Let's get you here. If over here in Green Bay, Gannon's pushing Goody to go get him, we don't got to worry about the edge position anymore. Guys, they're going to have like $100 million in cap room next year. They can do this. They got cap room right now. Like, they can absolutely do this. And if they need a little bit more room, they can restructure a couple of contracts to get the room. Like, this is a very, very legitimate potential trade that the Packers could make. Now, you could argue, well, they're never going to trade Jayden Reed. Okay, maybe not. Maybe you think they'll trade draft picks or something else. But the idea brought up of they don't have a slot, and Reed would fill that need for the Cardinals, and the Packers would fill the need of getting an edge rusher. It makes sense. Would you do it? Nikolai Law, talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Jeff in Greendale, you're first up on Wisconsin Sports Daily with me, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. What's up, Jeff?
Good afternoon, Sparky. Good to talk to you.
You bet.
Hey, I'm all for it. I do like Reed. Amazing player.
Yeah.
But if you're going to fill that spot with a bigger need than wide receiver, which I think it is, absolutely, let's do it. And like you were saying, maybe it's going to be a different player or a draft pick next year or something. Who knows? But I get it done. And I think what it also helps is if you get him, as you laid out who the front is, that can help with the weakness right now in the back end.
Yes.
So you're looking at now, it still might get better between now and the start of the season. But as of right now, you put it on paper, it helps a weak secondary. So that would be it'd be a twofold. We need the edge rush, but it'd help our secondary. So I think it'd be a great thing to do if they can do it. And also the Packers, what are they good at, Sparky? Getting receivers in those later rounds.
Yes.
Where's Jordy? Where's Donald Driver was 7th round?
Yeah.
All those guys are, they're not first round picks. What do we have? 2 in the past, 20 years or whatever it is? So they're going to get good receivers in this draft. They will find whatever it is. They got that magic touch of finding receivers. Correct. At least above average. So that's my thought. Have a good one, Sparky.
I'm with you. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Always a pleasure, Jeff. You can hop in as well. I got some text messages flowing in as well. Nikolai Law, talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. From the 414, no question, but think it will take more than that. Another one from the 414. Problem is you'll need to add something to that. Reed for Sweat straight up just isn't enough. I agree from our perspective, from a Packer perspective. It only takes one GM to really, really love Jayden Reed and be like, yeah, that's cool. I'll do this because it frees up some cap space for them, frees up some more money now and in the future for the Cardinals. It's a lot cheaper deal to go get Jayden Reed. And because Jayden Reed has never been a number 1 wide receiver, Jayden Reed going into the open market is not going to command as much as what they're paying Josh Sweat right now. So even if they decide to extend Jayden Reed and keep Jayden Reed, it's still going to be a cheaper date at the dance than rolling with Josh Sweat for the next 3 years.
It will be. But also Jayden Reed, you have to think the one thing the Cardinals had last season was a pretty decent wide receiver. Michael Wilson came on really well in the second half of the year. You had Marvin Harrison Jr., who had his ups and downs last season, but became more of kind of a situational target for that team. Trey McBride, they won't value Jayden Reed as much because they need a slot wide receiver.
But there's 2 things here, right? First thing, when Jacoby Brissett got in there, do you know who his guy was?
Michael Wilson all day.
Trey McBride.
Well, Wilson was getting 15 targets a game.
Trey McBride, I believe.
Trey McBride was the target all year.
It's funny, though, and the only reason I'm on top of this is because last night I was watching all the coverage on NFL, and they had a fantasy football guy on, and they were talking about the tight end room, and they were talking about McBride and the fact that no Kyler Murray, how does that impact him? And they threw out these numbers about Brissett with McBride when Brissett took over and how McBride became his guy with Jacoby Brissett. So they're saying he's probably going to be the number 1 tight end in fantasy football going into next year with Jacoby Brissett as his quarterback at this point. Fine. But my thing on this is if you're Jayden Reed, you have no control over where you go. I mean, they can trade you wherever you want and be fine. This is the last year of his deal coming up. Then he is a free agent in 2027. Josh Sweat, on the other hand, just signed a deal with the Cardinals prior to last year to go play for Gannon. So you've got him under contract in 26, 27, 28, and then he becomes a free agent in 29 at that point. Now, cap numbers, those are going to change, obviously. Cap number would be not that much. What did I say? I just read that. Didn't I just read that? Where was it? I just read the Ken Ingalls thing. I go back. But the cap number is not that bad for this year. Then in 27, the cap number is 23.6.
$16.385 million.
That's what it says on Spotrac.
Yeah.
But I believe with this deal going down, let me just check Ingalls again here. I just literally read it. Ingalls says, did he get rid of that post? Maybe he did get rid of that post. It was there. I swore it was there. Oh, it's under replies. That's what happens when you hear. Josh Sweat is an option bonus that triggers March 20th. If traded before then, the new team takes on a $12.7 million cap hit. So it's less than even the $16 million at the end of the day. So Engel says the Cardinals would be less likely to trade him after eating a $7.2 million bonus. So that's why the 20th is such an important deal here if they're going to trade Sweat. But then when you get to 27 and 28, 23-6, 23-6 for both of those years. Jaden Reed is not going to have a $23 million cap hit if you're the Arizona Cardinals. Like, there's absolutely no chance that's happening. Now, having said that, if you're saying, what do we put with Jaden Reed? You could put a 4th-round pick with Jaden Reed next year. You're going to have plenty of those. You have 2 4s already. You're going to have at least 1, maybe 2 4th-round comp picks next year in 27. So if they're hot to trot for 2027, like Adam Schefter claims teams are, maybe that makes sense. Another one here from the 414 coming in on the Nicolay Law Talking text line. Trade a 2nd and a 4th for 27. So he's saying give them a 2 in 27 and a 4 in 27 for Josh Sweat. Don't give up any capital this year. Give it all up in 27.
Yeah, I'd say give up everything in 27. Not everything, but everything that you're going to give up, have it be in 27.
Not a 2 this year.
I don't think you need to give up a 2nd, though, in this trade. Again, like Jaden Reed, yes, I feel like the value on a team like the Cardinals, they have Trey McBride being paid already. He's making $16 million this year, going to make $23 million next year, 24 the year after. Again, they're probably going to have to pay Michael Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't expect them to pay him eventually. I think that's the guy they move on from eventually. But Jaden Reed still has to get paid a certain amount of money. I also still feel like we've pointed out before, Jaden Reed hasn't shown that consistently throughout a season that he can be that star type of slot wide receiver. He's had his moments. So I think you could get away saying, instead of a 2nd and a 4th, we can give you a 3rd. And we can get away with Jaden Reed in a 3rd.
What 414 is saying, you give him a 2nd and a 4th for 27, not trading Jaden Reed. Just a 2 and a 4 in 27. So if you decide to move on from Reed, I'm not giving a 2 and a 4 and Jaden Reed. I would give a 4 and 27 and Jaden Reed for Josh Sweat. I don't think I would give more than that at the end of the day. But a 2 and a 4 and 27, and you keep Jaden Reed.
Nah, I'd rather move on from a player on the roster and give somebody else a shot.
Because there's slot receivers that are available as well.
Other guys that you can give a shot, veteran guys
you can get cheap and do a 1-year deal and figure it out and maybe draft a receiver and go from there.
Go give Tyreek Hill a shot for a couple of years.
Oh,
man.
No.
You don't like that one?
No.
I knew you would.
I don't want him in that locker room. I don't. And that's not to say that he's not a good player or whatever. I just don't want him in the locker room. He would be a hell of an impact guy if I could trust him in the locker room, but I don't think I'm at that point. Coming up on the other side, we're going to talk about Team USA and what's going on with them as they get ready to play in the quarterfinals. I have, as they would say on Inside Wisconsin Sports, I have questions. That's a whole segment on their show. I have questions because I'm seeing the roster manipulation happening for Team USA today. And I to go right back to the conversation Charlie and I had yesterday. There isn't a lot of good pitching, it doesn't appear, that is available to Team USA. That is a big, big problem based on what they have decided to do here coming up for the quarterfinals and after. But we'll talk about that coming up next. Do you think Team USA has enough left in the tank to potentially win the World Baseball Classic? Remember, they were the favorites coming in. Then they weren't. And now that they're in, I saw updated odds and they're the favorites again. I don't feel like they should be, to be honest with you. But the favorites to go to if you are dealing with a personal injury, suffered in a car accident or so forth, Habish, and Routier. They've been helping injured Wisconsinites for nearly 100 years. Experienced attorneys, approachable and dedicated to helping their clients pursue the compensation that they deserve. And again, remember, 13 locations across the state of Wisconsin. 13 locations. Wausau, if you're listening to the game there. Green Bay, Appleton, they're all over the place. This is exactly who you want to go to. And they've been here the whole time. This isn't some national agency, right, that started in Ohio or started in LA or New York. No, they've been here the whole time, man. They didn't pick up and leave and go somewhere else as they got bigger. right here, winning case after case, and built a national reputation for all their success. And then that hometown service goes along with it. Check them out today. Habish.com. Again, that's Habish.com. Habish, and Routier. National reputation and hometown service. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Wisconsin Sports Daily, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, Charlie Usen producing. Badgers up 43-33 at halftime and their Big Ten tournament game. Down with Wojczulis with College Sports Weekly here Saturday mornings, 9 to 11. Him and Dan Underberg. He's there. He's at the game. He's posting on X from the game, and he will continue to do so throughout the game. He'll join us once the game is done from down in Chicago, so stay tuned for that. Also still to come, still got time to talk about the crew. We may have to move Curt Hogg potentially because Clubhouse, I think, may be going on at that point. If that does happen, we'll just move them to the 4 o'clock hour. So Charlie is working on that behind the scenes, but right now still scheduled for 3 o'clock. I want to talk about the World Baseball Classic a little bit here, mainly because I myself am really kind of into the World Baseball Classic a little bit. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I watched every inning of the game last night because I certainly didn't. I watched more towards the end of that game and then the post-game interview with Pasquantino. And the post-game interview with Pasquantino, I will say this, like when that kid was coming up in the Royals organization, it was all about the power, right? That's what it was about. He sucked in this tournament up until yesterday, right? And then he just become Babe Ruth at the plate yesterday. What do you have, 3 home runs in that game? Mm-hmm. So he puts on a show. The thing that I found interesting in all of that was him talking about the idea of, they got these kids in Italy that are playing with them. That's a young team. Got these kids in Italy that are playing with them that don't play Major League Baseball, right? And they tell a story about Francisco Cervelli, longtime catcher in Major League Baseball. And Cervelli apparently driving around like 15 hours scouting for players. And they have different academies trying to build up their national program. So they've got like a 12U academy and a 16U academy and all of this trying to build that pipeline to becoming a better national team and probably getting more players in Major League Baseball or Japan or wherever to go play professionally. He said that for he himself, that was the loudest environment he had ever played in his life. That game last night against Mexico was the loudest environment. Now, that is a professional baseball player that plays in major league stadiums and all of that stuff. Not these young guys in Italy who've never played in front of anything like this before in their life and then getting thrown into this. That makes it all the more impressive as to the job Italy has done in all of this. Because, again, you want to talk about culture shock and shock to the system of being on the grand stage. This is a pretty grand stage, especially when you're playing in the backyard of Team USA, who needs you to win, essentially, for them to go. And then Pasquantino to say, hey, you're welcome, Team USA. I thought that was kind of funny, too. And then they're like, anything you want to say to Bobby Witt? Yeah, have him leave me his room key for his hotel. I've got a feeling he'd like to stay in a different hotel. But either way, that all to me was just pretty cool stuff after the game last night.
Yeah, it is really cool watching this Italy team kind of defy odds a little bit. At the same time, they're loaded with MLB talent. And a lot of reports have said that they were going around the USA and finding any player that's got a little bit of Italian in him and trying to get them to come to Team Italy.
Did you hear who they tried to recruit for this
I saw
team?
The Holiday brothers.
Yes.
That was the big one that they were talking about.
Yeah, Ethan Holiday and his brother. They tried to get both of them to come play on this team.
Italian-looking guys I've ever seen, man.
Because their grandpa is from Italy, I think, is what Ethan
and that's
Holiday
all you
said.
need is like one grandparent to be from Italy or from some of these countries, and then they'll let you play on that team. It's kind of crazy. And they're not the only team doing that. All of these teams in this tournament went out and tried to recruit MLB players, whether they were distantly related to whatever country they were representing or super related. They were trying to get you to come play for that team. You could be from Italy or from the US, and you could be Italian and Czechoslovakian and maybe a little bit of Venezuelan, and all 3 of those teams, including the US, would have been recruiting you to come play for them. That's crazy.
Yeah, but and I know Brandon Stein with his comments about his kids playing in another country and all that crap he said. We talked about that on Plead the Fifth on Friday, brought to you by Havish and Rotier. But just put that aside to a certain degree. Could you, Charlie, this is not a topic conversation. If y'all want to text in, that's fine, but that's not the question that we're going to talk about. I just kind of thought about it. If you were recruited to play for another country, not USA, where you've been born, raised, lived your whole life, but are told, we want you to go wear a different flag of a different country because your grandpa or whoever was from this other country. You've never even been to that country, never visited, don't have a passport. I've never even been out of the country. Do you do it?
If I'm not going to be on Team USA,
if they don't want me,
yeah, sure. Why not? I'll go play for Team Poland. I'll go play for Team Italy. That's what I am. I'd be happy to go do that. Why not?
Because Team USA didn't want this kid.
Smacks that one in the gap. That kid can hit all the way to the wall. It goes to Zenzo around third. He will come to the plate and score.
Team Italy starting to pile it on now.
That kid, Andrew Fisher, the Brewers' third base prospect, the top third base prospect in all of baseball. Highlight there, courtesy of Fox. Fisher continues to rake and finally got that start again last night. He should have started against USA the night before. Remember we talked about yesterday, do they have restrictions and so forth? They do have restrictions. There's pitchers that have restrictions from their teams, in which case they're having to send guys back to camp. And it appears that there may be restrictions on the hitters as well, as far as how much they're having the opportunity to play. For me, from my perspective in all of this, if I'm Italy right now, I'm playing Fisher over anybody else on that roster if given the opportunity. Whatever. Now, again, I'm talking for Team USA. Team Italy may not have any on their guys. But from my perspective, you may have the vet or whatever. But if I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to win my next game, I've got to play the guys that can hit and score runs. And Fisher qualifies that way for Italy.
Yeah, keep giving him the shot. And the more he keeps playing like that, I mean, the Brewers kind of have to start thinking about playing him eventually too. That's a discussion you got to have. If he's going to play this well against national teams that are loaded with stars in high intensity situations, I mean, you got to start thinking about that third base position yourself.
I think there is a real good chance that the opening day lineup in 27 sees Made at short and Fisher at third base. I think there's a real good chance that's what it is. And maybe you sacrifice defensively with Made, so be it. But from a bats perspective, I think there's every chance those two guys are the left side of the infield in 27, if there's a season.
I mean, and they both have shown that they can be that so far throughout this preseason spring training period. Made has been really good in the spring training times. Yes, maybe not a superstar, but a player that you can see is taking those steps, especially compared to his spring training last year. And then Andrew Fisher doing this again on a national stage. When you're watching Joey Ortiz fumble easy plays over and over again on the same exact stage, I mean, you have to think about giving that a chance sooner rather than later.
Now, that was good for Fisher. You talk about Joey Ortiz stumbling on the national stage. This is what happened last night for Mexico.
Good jump out to center and not stopping, heading to third and forgetting how many outs there were, or maybe getting deked, is Ortiz.
A terrific decoy by the middle infield.
You can feel the Mexican fans yelling, "Go back, go back, go back." You hear the sound of the stadium change immediately when they're like, "Oh my gosh."
That's a professional Major League Baseball player.
Not just a professional Major League Baseball player, the professional Major League shortstop that's starting for your Milwaukee Brewers.
And for Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
That's their best shortstop.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even debatable. He is the best guy that they have. And he ain't playing for his offense. He's playing for his defense. But you just can't have that type of base running blunder when your team is fighting to advance out of pool play. You've got to be in it more than that. Keep your eyes up and see where the ball is. And he didn't. He got deep, like they said, and kept running third base and thought that it was an errant throw into center field. Well, and
I think you see a lot more of this little league style stuff happening in events like this because you're seeing all these highlight plays. It's a lot of players who haven't played with each other before, or coaches that haven't played with these players before. So to communicate that to Joey Ortiz may be different than how you would communicate that the Randy or Rosarena on the same exact team. And you don't know how to get to that point because you've only been together for 3 weeks at this time. You have to be better than that still as an MLB player. But at the same time, I understand why there's defensive mistakes in these games, why the's base running mistakes in these games, because those all rely on communication. And if you're not ready to communicate with the guys on the field, it can lead to that stuff.
Okay, so here is some of the stuff that has me a little bewildered, perplexed, I don't know, figure out what you want to use here. Stunned. So today, Team USA makes their roster moves and their decisions of what they're going to do. So Tarek Skubal, as we all knew, was done. Okay. Michael Waka is done. And Ryan Yarbrough, who didn't pitch well anyhow in his game against Italy, is done as well. Replacing them, Tyler Rogers. Okay, we know who Tyler Rogers is. At least I think most Brewers fans probably have heard of Tyler Rogers. Maybe not. The other two guys, I could but guarantee you 95% of the people have no idea who these next two guys are. Will Vest and Tim Hill. Those are your other two pitchers. Vest with the Yankees, or Vest with the Tigers, Hill with the Yankees. Those are the two guys that are going to potentially determine how far Team USA is going to go. That's the deal. Now, Clayton Kershaw. Remember, it got brought up yesterday about Kershaw getting up and then not pitching and then sitting back down or whatever. That was because he's technically a non-rostered player. He's not on an MLB roster or whatever else. So he doesn't have an innings limit or anything like that. So because of that, they can get him up and down as many times as they want without ever having him pitch. The plan was, if that thing got to extras, Kershaw was pitching out. Like, you were just going to go until it was over, and that was going to be the extent of it. So yesterday, it got brought up. Well, how could you get him up and send him out? I have no idea. And then today I read that's why.
Well, and still, whether you have that plan or not, everything about like what DeRosa has done this entire World Baseball Classic, like I yesterday I said if they don't make the quarterfinals, he gets fired. I don't know. He's doing a lot of things and saying a lot of things that just seem like he doesn't have a plan. And like he's just going out there, and this team again is feeling very arrogant. Feels like that they just thought they were going to win this.
Yes,
thought it was going to be fun to win. I don't know. That's fireable for me. Like that's something where it's like every other team cares about this as much as every other guy, every other person that's just watching from their couches.
I think,
and it feels like this team, the USA team, isn't having that same vibe.
So let's talk about the new guys on this team. The guys that just got here, they've never been a part of this like Terang. I promise you, he cares.
Yep.
He wants to win this.
But then Bryce Harper is constantly crapping on the whole tournament every chance that he gets.
And he's lobbying for guys to play in the Olympics.
Right. He's like, oh, the Olympics are so much better. The Olympics will be better than this. Like, this is awesome. What are you talking about? Better? If it's equivalent to this, I'll be happy. But I think it'll be hard to beat the entertainment factor we're getting from every single game, not just you guys. Like the USA has been kind of boring.
Who was it? Overall. Was it Tatis with that over the top celebration going down the first baseline? Seriously, like
it's just nuts.
He took like a minute to actually begin the jog down the first baseline.
That's what these teams are. The Venezuelan teams with like Abner Uribe on the mound doing 18 celebrations.
He was horrible yesterday.
Who cares?
He walked fun, three guys. He was horrible.
I just love that he's out here like having fun and enjoying this. Feels like the USA team's like, yeah, this is part of the job. We're supposed to go out here because the fans expect us to be out here and we're leaving as soon as possible.
Sure.
And none of the other players on any of these other teams are treating it like that.
Okay, so here's some more moves. Matthew Boyd, he's gone. He's going back to Cubs camp. Fine. But Kershaw is now done after the quarterfinal. So after this next game against Canada, then Joe Ryan will join the team once Kershaw is off the team. So Joe Ryan will come in. Joe Ryan could be in a position to essentially start the championship game for Team USA. We know Joe Ryan, been with the Twins. I like that option better than the young kid from the Mets.
If I'm the Twins, I feel so mad about this because they're a team that's sold their entire roster away and kept like 3 total guys on their roster, and 2 of them, Byron Buxton and now Joe Ryan, are going to be integral in a championship game potentially. A game again where they're giving it their all potentially, especially Joe Ryan, who hasn't really gotten this opportunity yet, like some of these other pitchers. Even Sproat has gotten his opportunity so far. This feels like a game where if I'm the Twins, I'm sitting there knocking on wood, crossing my fingers that both of these guys can stay healthy when both of them haven't been able to.
You know, Buxton specifically really hasn't been able to in his career as the outfielder for the Twins. So this is the question. I know it took us a while to get to it. Do you think Team USA has enough in the tank to potentially win this whole thing? Do you think they have enough to still win the World Baseball Classic? Nikolai Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. I just look at the Dominican Republic and I don't, you look at that lineup and you look at what we have for pitching. I don't see how they win I struggle to see how they win that game. Venezuela, I don't think Venezuela's going to be easy either. They also got a bunch of good talent on Venezuela. I think both of those matchups would potentially be really, really tough for the USA. Now, Canada, they should beat Canada. Okay, I'm with you. They should beat Canada tomorrow night. But I don't think I'm picking them to win much of what else is left. Japan.
Well, the other quarterfinal right now is Dominican Republic and Korea. I don't think
Dominican Republic obviously wins.
Dominican Republic,
yes.
And then Puerto Rico and Italy. Like both those teams have been playing well and have players that I think can give them that opportunity to take a run, especially Italy. We've seen them the past 2 games just be out of nowhere on fire. I also feel like that's kind of almost Badgers-esque where they have those giant games and other games where it's like, what is happening? Like they don't have that whole run to me. Yeah, I think it comes down to Venezuela or the Dominican Republic, and I don't think the USA has even close to the firepower to do that, or maybe not the firepower, but the will to do that.
See, and the other part about this too, if we're sitting here and we're thinking about it, because we talked about this piece in The Athletic for Pat Murphy. And again, I talked about how you should go read it. But his time being a national manager was a big deal. He learned a lot, accomplished quite a bit for a team that nobody thought would be any good and not be able to win. And they were able to pull some upsets and do their deal. So that was all positive. But when we sit here and we look at how this whole thing is going to play out, and what's ahead of everybody, Japan was another team that everybody wants to talk about as well, Charlie.
They're always going to be this squad in the World Baseball Classic where I think because they're led by a Shohei Ohtani, because
who said he is not pitching under any circumstances,
which is very interesting. Well, he said the only reason he would pitch earlier before the World Baseball Classic is if Mike Trout was batting against him again. He would only do that again. But the rest of that team, again, there are a lot of guys with MLB talent. I don't know. They don't feel like they're here having as much fun as maybe some of these other teams are. I think fun really matters in the World Baseball Classic. That vibe can carry you a long way.
414 says, no, I don't think they have enough left. And DeRosa is a lousy manager. I implore you. It's too long. I'm not going to read it on the air. Go find Adam Wainwright's post from earlier this morning. The former Cardinals pitcher on X, and this whole detail long thing of him defending DeRosa and Team USA. Go check it out. Do we have Curt Hogg next?
He is next.
Okay, let's talk about the Crew with Curt Hogg, Brewers beat writer from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Coming up next here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. It is time again. Welcome in to broadcast live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here, as always. Charlie Hughes producing Other Side of the Glass. Coming up on Tuesday for St. Patrick's Day, we'll be at Moe's Irish Pub on Highway 100 in Wauwatosa. So if you're in Wausau or Green Bay or Appleton or Duluth, Superior listening, if y'all want to make the drive down, come hang out with us. More than welcome. If you're in the area, you want to come hang out with us on Tuesday, would love to see you out there. Great food and drink specials, of course, at Moe's Irish Pub. They got some Irish dancers. They're going to be on stage before us from like 1:15 to 1:45, I want to say. So come on out, hang out with us. We'll be there on Tuesday from 2 to 5, Moe's Irish Pub in Wauwatosa. Looking forward to that. And coming up this hour, we're going to check in with Don Wojczulis. I think this Badger game will be done by the end of the hour. If not, then we'll check in with Don Wojczulis next hour. But the Badgers are up 61-48 right now. And as we look at the box score right now, as far as what's going on in that game, obviously it's still all about Nick Boyd for the most part. Boyd, 19 points, 7 of 11 from the field, 5 of 6 from 3. John Blackwell, who started off a little bit slower, has picked it up. 22 points for Blackwell, 9 of 15, 4 of 8 from 3. That means they are 9 of 14 from 3 in that backcourt right now for 41 points. If you want to talk about how are you going to win in the NCAA tournament, this is how you do it. But there's still one piece missing. They don't have a big really scoring all that much. Blasquez has 8, fine. But Austin Raps only hit 1 shot. That's not ideal. You don't have Nolan Winter in that game. That's not ideal. Hopefully you get Nolan Winter back in time for the NCAA tournament because without him, you might be able to win that first game in the first round, potentially with just a great backcourt. But at some point, Charlie, you need a big.
Well, and especially as you get into that March Madness type of run, a lot of these teams, especially the smaller teams that you're going to be going up against in the early rounds, rely on big men.
Yes.
So they can really upset you if you allow them to out-rebound you and beat you in the paint.
All right, a special guest this week, or today I should say, and let's talk about the crew. He is our guy, Curt Hogg, podcast star, Brewers beat writer with the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, joining us on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. He is down in Arizona at Brewers spring training. Curt, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about the weather. So don't ask. I'm not going to do it.
I'm not.
I don't need to make people mad.
Wasn't going to ask you about the weather. I wanted to ask the podcast star about his new podcast.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, I've got a show called Brewer Territory. We're part of the Foul Territory Network. 3 times a week, we're on YouTube. We have podcasts wherever you get your podcast platform. And I'm on with 2017 National League All-Star, former Brewer closer, Corey Knebel. So we're having a good time. We've been going now for about a month. So, yeah, feel free to give us a like, give us a subscribe. I would say give us a follow, but I don't really know how you follow a podcast. So, yeah, that's what we got, Sparky.
Yeah, you subscribe.
Okay.
Subscribe. Can I just give you a piece of advice from an old guy to a young guy?
Please.
You don't got to say what year he was an all-star, because then it's like, oh, dude, that dude's a little bit older. 2017, that was a minute ago, right?
That's cool that he knows that.
Well, you better know it. He's working with him. I'm just saying, like, just say former Brewers closer and all-star Corey Knebel. You don't need to bring up the year. I don't need to make the guy feel older than he is.
Just one time. Hey, look, I feel old too, so it happens.
Yeah, it does happen. This Brewers baseball team, Adam McKelvey, your cohort over there at Brewers.com, put out his roster prediction. You put out your roster prediction. You both put out your lineups. For the most part, relatively the same. The only thing that was really kind of different was that starting rotation where he decided to go with Ashby. You decided to go with Brandon Sproat. And I will tell you, I'm much more in favor of your way of thinking than I am his way of thinking, because with all due respect to Aaron Ashby, we've watched this a couple of times now. Now, not for a full season, to be fair to Aaron Ashby. We've not seen him do it for a full season, but it hasn't gone all that great the last couple of times we've seen this, and he is really good in his role in the bullpen.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Sproat. Unless some injuries happen, I feel pretty confident in my roster prediction, just pretty much up and down. But Aaron Ashby might get some quasi starts, I guess you could call it, here or there. He's going to throw a ton of innings, but yeah, I'm not expecting to see some sort of all out, this guy's going 6 innings and starts, because they're not building him up that much. They're only building him up, I believe the plan is to 4 innings max, which that's not a full starter workload. It's enough for him to have his workload, which is a lot and pitching in high leverage spots. And look, that's probably the best deployment of him as well, when you do have Sprode and Harrison and some of these young guys that need to get some big league starting experience under their belt, just kind of have Ashby as the Swiss Army knife, I guess.
Curt Hogg, Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Brewers beat writer. Follow him on Twitter at Curt Hogg. That's CYRT Hogg, at Curt Hogg on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it nowadays. Let me ask you this. From the idea of the fact that you're going to have a couple of young guys. Now, Harrison has rotation experience, obviously. You don't got to worry about innings there. But you're going to have a bunch of young guys potentially getting starts throughout the season. Is this a situation where the Brewers probably are going to have a true long man in this bullpen in anticipation of maybe shorter starts potentially?
Yeah, DL Hall, I think, is going to be one of those guys. Ashby is also kind of one of those guys. They're going to have a ton of lefties. Like I have 5 lefties in the bullpen right now, which is got to be the most in the major leagues. But I just think that's the group they're most comfortable with in terms of A, talent, B, maintaining depth, which gives you Rob Z because he's the only guy out of options there, so he makes the team, and C, giving you length as well. Those are sort of the 3 things that they're looking at. All 3 are important, carry different weight, but they definitely want length early in the year because, look, you don't want. People might crucify me for this, but you don't want Brandon Sprode throwing 170 innings this year. He's probably not going to anyway, but you want your guys healthy in October, and having him, these guys aren't going to go 7 innings a lot early in the year anyway, but you don't necessarily want that either because they're just so young. Okay, so since you're talking about not wanting to burn them out and they're so young and take advantage of them, I mean, last year Sprode threw 141 innings between the minor leagues and the major leagues. What is a reasonable clip up if you're looking at it from a Brewers perspective? Okay, so he's at 140, 160 in the regular season. Sounds about right. So maybe 170 is within the realm of possibility if he's really good. But I like there's just not a lot of young starters in baseball anymore who reach 170 innings, and we know how the Brewers are with. Yep. Their guys don't get super deep into games, and I have a feeling you don't like that. But I don't think you're right. It ain't gonna. Guess what? It is not gonna change. And is Miz going to go super deep into games? I think they would be fine with. They would love it. They would love it. But the pitch count's high, and then there's questions. Chad Patrick, is he going to be able to go? Is his stuff at a level where he can go a third time through, or do you just turn it over to the bullpen? It is definitely a conversation to be had though, especially when you consider how much they used the bullpen last year. But maybe is there a way to use the entire bullpen instead of throwing the same arms every single day? And they didn't really wear them out a ton last year, but over time that usually does catch up to you. So let's have the conversation of Mr. Priester. So the way that they've went about describing this pain from his wrist that essentially shoots up his arm from time to time, not all the time, but just randomly from time to time playing catch or whatever the case may be. I brought this up on the air the other day, and I had a guy call in, and obviously, it wasn't a guy that's a Major League Baseball player in his 20s or anything like that, but he just called up and said, my buddy had the exact same thing, and they play baseball on weekends or whatever. And he said it ended up being nerve damage, and he was out like a year and a half. Now, obviously, he doesn't have the same rehab as an MLB player or anything like that. Now, I am very fearful after hearing that story and saying it was the exact same thing he was going through. After hearing that, I was like, oh, boy,
This is not good. The Brewers keep hemming and hawing about how he's going to all these specialists, and I would like to know what the options are. I haven't heard them say, is surgery an option? And if so, what is the surgery on? Like, they have not really said anything other than, well, we tried rest. Here's my thing. You've had him rested since the end of last season when apparently he was pitching through this, and he came back, and it's still an issue. If surgery's not the answer, then somebody better explain what the hell is going on.
Well, hopefully they'll explain it today, Sparky. He's back from Dallas. We're talking to Murph here in a little bit. So he went to see a specialist, and it's you look up the doctor. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's in Dallas, and he's a vascular specialist. So that sort of kind of gives you an idea of where their minds are looking. Like, hey, we can't figure this out. We don't know what they do not know what exactly is going on, which again, that's why you go see a specialist. And there's part of you that views that as a positive because it's not the elbow, it's not the shoulder, the imaging is intact. And then part of that is also, like you're saying, there's some scary unknown there. We don't know when he's gonna be throwing. We don't even know what exactly the specialist said yet.
Right.
Hopefully we'll find out in an hour, and then we can have a different conversation with more information. But yeah, it's tough to fully give the complete answer because we don't know. It's this enigmatic injury that the Brewers haven't been able to figure out since last September. He did pitch through it, and he pitched well through it last September. So, but this probably is, it's a similar issue. It's the same issue, same pain he's feeling. So, I don't know. That was a long way of saying, Sparky, I don't know.
Okay, well then what do we know about our guy Henderson, who has elbow inflammation similar to what he had last year?
Yeah, I just talked to him right before coming out here. He's throwing a bullpen in a T-minus 15 minutes or whatever. So they don't seem concerned. I mean, I think you're just generally concerned about his elbow because he's had the past with it, surgery, the inflammation or the discomfort or whatever it was that kept him out for 2 months at the end of the year last year. So when that pops up, you're definitely cognizant of it, but they don't seem concerned in this instance. He's going to get in the game probably this weekend, and he'll just start at Nashville.
Just a lot of not being concerned about pitchers' arms. Okay. I'll just put this on the back burner and just push this.
You're always concerned about his arm because it's his arm.
Yes, because it's
his
arm.
In this instance, it's nothing. He's throwing. He's throwing today. I will text you a picture of him throwing. Actually, I'm not going to do that.
That would be a little creepy too. You'd probably be like, what are you doing? Curt Hogg, Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Brewers beat writer, joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily from Brewers spring training. The one position that there's two positions, both on the left sides of the infield that people are nervous about. But shortstop, it is what it is. It's Joey Ortiz. We'll see what happens. Third base, on the other hand, is something where for the second offseason in a row, yet again, they decided, nope, we're not going to add a power back. Now, Renifo, they went out and got, and he does appear to have double-digit power potentially. But then there's all this quantum leap stuff from Pat Murphy about David Hamilton and what he might be. And with all due respect, I would love to know what he sees that everybody else has missed along this route as far as how he potentially fits into a role where offensively he produces, because 8 and 9 of Hamilton and Ortiz is not pretty.
No, it's not. But look, they're just kind of doing the thing that they do where they take the defense, they take the contact, they take the speed, and hopefully it works out in the long run. Look, I would not be surprised in the least if this is Jet Williams' job at some point, but we also haven't been able to see him because he's hurt. Look, what Murphy sees and what the Brewers see, there's a lot of people within the Brewers front, mostly I would say more on the front office side. I know Murph was the quote giver, but that really, really like David Hamilton. That's probably the best explanation that I can give you about the situation. Is the Brewers are looking at it in a similar lens to other guys that they have acquired that they really liked, and it kind of worked out. Doesn't always work out. I'm not saying it's guaranteed to this time, but that's kind of that's kind of where they're coming from. I'm not sure it's going to be an everyday role, but there's a lot of people that really like that guy.
I explained their offseason on that side of the infield as this is kind of a gap year. Like people say about the Bucks, we're not going to be that good this year, but we'll be in a position to bounce back next year. The good draft pick, all this stuff. I feel like it's a gap year. We're like, they're just kind of getting through this. And then hopefully next year, Made and Fisher are the left side of that infield.
Yeah, that's
Made.
Pratt. Yeah. Made might be, well, we'll see. I don't know how exactly the cards are going to fall, but between Pratt and Made and Terang and Fisher, you've got some good options that are going to be big league ready next year. And that's like, if you want to boil it down to it, that was a key reason they traded Durbin. They get Harrison, they get Drowan back. They also really like Hamilton in the short term. But at the end of the day, starting next year, you can see a world in which those guys push Durbin off of third base.
I agree. And maybe Fisher ends up at first. If you think Pratt's going to be at short, then Pratt's at shortstop and Made's at third base, and then first base is Fisher. Either way, offensively, it's going to be a heck of a lot better than what they have right now on the left side of that infield. Let's talk about the if come maybes. What if Andrew Vaughn actually ends up being as good as he was in the second half of the season last year? Because if that happens, I think that kind of complicates things a little bit for the Brewers, because then there's a money consideration of, can they afford him and do they want to afford him?
Well, he would have to rise to a pretty high level.
Say he hits 275 and hits 25 to 30 homers.
That's a pretty high level that he would have to rise to. And you know what? I still think my gut says they would churn. They would do what they do because I can't remember. Does he have it would next year be his last year?
I don't know, man. That was debated when they traded for him about whether or not he had a year left or 2 years left. That was a whole big debate.
Yeah. I think he's got the year after that as well. But I couldn't remember if there's another year on top of that. But nevertheless, it's like first base. I know they had a whale of a time finding an answer there, but like if he has a great year, you're looking at paying what, $14 million in arbitration?
If you go on Spotrac right now, it says this is his last year.
But that's not true.
Right. That's what you guys have been saying the entire time. But no website actually has it.
Spotrac doesn't do baseball contracts, right? You have to go off service time.
Fair enough.
And that just doesn't seem like 1 year of a first baseman at $14 million. That doesn't seem, even if he has it would have to be a great year, Sparky, is what I think I'm getting at, just because of the guys they have and what we've seen them do.
Yep. No question. I think he's going to have that year. That year I just said, I think he's going to put up those type of numbers. I do. And then they're going to have to make a decision. And if they decide, no, we're going to play Andrew Fisher at first base, I'm not going to be mad about it. It would be a hell of a story, though. No question. Curt Hogg, give me the player that is not going to be on the opening day roster that you think could be an impact player for this team in 26.
Well, that's a great question. I said the name Jet Williams already.
Yep.
That is certainly toward the top of the list. Depending on how things go at shortstop, like the Brewers love Cooper Pratt's defense, and you know how they are about defense. So that's another name on the offensive side that I'm going to go with. On the pitching side, I'm going to go with Shane Drowan.
Yeah, popular name.
Really good.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of talk about him this spring, but it's rightfully so. I mean, the guy's 27. Like, he's not. How do I say it? He's big league ready, but he's not seasoned. Like, the steak is cooked, but he didn't season it. So I think you give it a little more time at AAA, and we could see him in the rotation at some point. Maybe. I don't know.
All right, there he is, Curt Hogg. I'll let you get back to doing your thing. Thanks so much for taking time out. Milwaukee Journal Sentinel Brewers beat writer. Follow him on X at Curt Hogg. How do they follow the podcast that's out nowadays? You guys are on X for that too, right?
Yeah, there's an account for that. You also, like I said, Sparky, like and subscribe on the YouTube machine.
Correct. Absolutely right. And I believe the social media account for that, is, what is it? Is it Brewer?
Don't put me on the spot like this. I can't remember what the
Brewer Territory. That's all it is. Okay, I got you. Charlie's got us. Charlie's got us. At Brewer Territory on X. Go follow. They put up highlights and clips and all of that stuff, and then you can click through and go watch the full thing. Him and Corey Knable do a great job. Curt, thanks so much, buddy.
All right. Thanks, Sparky. Catch you later.
Take care. There he is, Curt Hogg, joining us on Let's Talk About the Crew. Coming up on the other side, the Badgers are still up. I mean, barring some type of collapse here, 75-62 right now over Washington. Just under 6:50 to go in that one. Badgers looking like they're going to ease their way through this round. And I think a lot of people thought that potentially could happen, right?
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, this Badgers team should be better than Washington.
Yes.
At the same time, what we've seen all season is them play up to their opponents and play down to their opponents. So it would probably be better for this Badgers team to play like Illinois or something right now than Washington.
Not without Nolan Winter, though.
Not without Nolan
I don't want to play Illinois without Winter. They got to have Winter ready to go there. So we'll talk with Wojczulis from College Sports Weekly, Saturday mornings from 9 to 11 here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. He's at the United Center at this Badger game. If you're following us on X at WI Sports Radio, he's been giving updates throughout the game and posting pictures and all that fun stuff. So we'll talk to him once this game is done. So probably within the next 30 minutes would be my guess. Coming up next, we were talking about Bryce Turang a little bit there at second base. With how well Bryce Turang has played since the All-Star break last season, and now leading the World Baseball Classic tournament in doubles, are we watching Bryce Turang price himself out of Milwaukee potentially? They had a conversation on Inside Wisconsin Sports a couple days ago, and they were doing the Would You Rather. I think it was yesterday. Would you rather? And they did the Would You Rather of, would you rather sign Madej to a contract extension now like you did Churio, or would you rather try and sign Turang to a long-term deal now instead? And Charlie and I had that conversation off the air in our pre-show meeting. We're going to bring that on to the air coming up next. So again, Bryce Turang, are we watching him price himself out of Milwaukee? Nikolai Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Prize Picks, baby. Have you downloaded the Prize Picks app? Download the Prize Picks app today and use code SPARKY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code SPARKY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right, and definitely want to do that. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, and every board that much more exciting. So don't miss the chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks. All you're doing is going more or less on 2 or more player stat projections that are set by Prize Picks. And also remember that they have those injury reboots, which is a beautiful thing. Meaning if somebody gets hurt in the first half of a game and doesn't come back and play in the second half of the game, or doesn't play in the game at all, let's say, when you thought he was going to play or she was going to play beforehand, that person just gets taken out of your lineup and your lineup continues. Now, what happened to me, as we talked about, was I had Jonathan Kuminga stacked, which means you can stack one player with 2 or 3 more or lesses in different stat categories into your lineup. I believe Prize Picks is the only place you can do that. So I had that going with another player, with Giannis, I believe it was, and then he didn't play. I only had Giannis, so they refunded because I only had one player and it was ineligible for the lineup. Now, if I would have had 3 guys in that lineup, you know, Giannis and somebody else, that lineup would have just continued and it would have been paid out based on a 2-player lineup. So again, this is a no-brainer. Download the Prize Picks app. Use code SPARKY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code SPARKY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Sparky here, Charlie using over there. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
during the last inning break.
Terang, opposite field. That's got a chance. And it's off the wall. Boy, this guy has just exploded into the scene. Fly ball left field. Maskai misjudges it, and it takes a weird bounce off of the fence, and 3 runs are going to be chased home.
Hits his ball to right center field. Caglione on the run. It's over his head, and ricochets off the wall. Goldschmidt stops at third, a double from Terang, and the United States at second and third with 2 out.
I am telling you, Bryce Terang has been having a field day at the World Baseball Classic. Highlights courtesy of FS1 and Foxy Sparky Fiber with you, Charlie Usen over there. Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And while Terang has been showing out last year as well in August, a 10 home run month in August last year, and he kind of vaulted himself up all of these different rankings with shortstops in the preseason and where everybody is ranked. The question that we have for you is, are we watching Terang essentially price himself out of Milwaukee? And I will give you the backstory as to why we're having this conversation. Josh and Trevor on Inside Wisconsin Sports, weekday morning, 6 to 9, do a Would You Rather Wednesday type deal. And it could be anything, right? Would you rather have a black pen or a red pen? Would you rather go to Disney World or Disneyland? Like, it could be whatever, right? Whatever they come up with. And one of the questions was, would you rather sign to an extension, Jesus Madej or Bryce Terang? That was the conversation. And then I had brought that conversation up with my buddy, and we were having the same conversation. And he's like, dude, there's no way. Like, they've priced themselves out of Terang. There's no way that they can afford to sign Bryce Terang at this point as we sit here today. So I brought it to the pre-show meeting with our guy, Charlie Usen, to have that conversation as far as, okay, how much really are we talking about paying these guys at the end of the day? And if you go and you look at contract average for the top second baseman in baseball. Now, again, not top shortstops, even though that's what he came up as, top second baseman. The number one second baseman in payroll is Xander Bogaerts at $25.4 million. Jose Altuve and Marcus Semien, $25 million. Gleyber Torres for the Tigers, $22 million. Ketel Marte is number 5 at $19.4 million. And then Andres Jimenez is number 6, averaging $15 million. Then McNeil of the Athletics, the former Met, is at $12.5 million. All right. So those are the top 7 with contract averages going into 26 for shortstops. Mind you, that Bryce Terang has 3 years of arbitration left still. 3 years. He's not going to hit free agency until age 30 in 2030. That's when he hits free agency. Now, Madej, obviously, like Churio, could do a 8, 9, 10-year contract at significantly less than what you would obviously would have to pay Terang. The difference is, however, is that with Terang, you're seeing in real time what he can do against big league pitching and the adjustments he's making from year to year. You know that dude's a platinum glove winner. There's no guarantee of how good Madej is going to be defensively. You have no idea. The reason Madej is climbing quickly is because of his bat and that he's a switch hitter. He's going to provide power. He's going to provide some speed, and he's going to provide everything you want offensively. So the question is, are we watching Terang price himself out of Milwaukee? Nicolay Law Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Because if you were to go give Terang an extension, I don't know if he would even address it or even consider it because he has 3 years left on his arbitration deal. So that's the first thing. He may be like, dude, just hold off on this. Let me play 2 more years, really see where my value is, and then go from there. The other thing is you have the CBA coming up. Now, we know this. The Brewers aren't going to have to reduce salaries with the CBA. They're not the Dodgers. So regardless of what they sign this dude to is not going to matter, right? They're going to have to pay him regardless. Mm-hmm. The other thing that we know in Major League Baseball And unless this changes with the CBA, which I don't think the Players Association will allow, you can defer money till the cows come home. Like it does not matter. You can defer money for however long you want, like they've done with Braun, like they're going to do with Yelich, like how they do with a lot of these guys now. The Dodgers do it even more so than anybody else. So you could defer a bunch of this money on Bryce Terang until after Bryce Terang is done playing for your organization to make it easier for you to deal with that money. Then the other name that came up in our conversation was William Contreras, because William Contreras only has 1 year left on his deal. That's next year. And then after that, he's gone. And if you look at the catcher numbers on average, Cal Raleigh at $17.5 million, JT Realmuto, $15 million, Will Smith, $14 million, Salvador Perez, $12.5, and Sean Murphy of the Braves, who coincidentally enough, that was the reason that Contreras got moved, because the Braves wanted Murphy over Contreras, $12.1 million. That's the top 5 salaries at catcher. So you could get William Contreras for significantly less than you could get Bryce Terang for. You could get Contreras for what? $10 to $12 million less per year, Charlie, than you could potentially get Bryce Terang for.
Well,
now, which one is more valuable to a team, though, right? Is a second baseman more valuable than a catcher? Because that's how they're getting paid right now. The catcher is like the center position in football. That's how they're getting paid.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think that when you look at it from that perspective, but at the same time, when you look at it from the Brewers' perspective, who's been in the MVP discussions in the past 3 seasons? It's been William Contreras. He's the guy who's the most valuable to your team right now. And Bryce Terang, his kind of jump throughout these last 2 seasons, yes, that's awesome to see, and you have to be excited about that, but you also know you have him under contract for 3 more years. Just like Bryce Terang may not want to go with that, the Brewers should look at themselves and say, hey, we got time on this. I think if you were going to make that type of move, you're going to give that type of extension, I think you have to do it at the beginning of somebody's service time, like we're talking about with Jesus Madej. That's the type of player I want to give that extension to. And then, yeah, William Contreras, for that number, reset the catcher market. Set it at $17 million before Cal Raleigh does that, before some of these other young players that are coming up, the Kyle Teals, who has looked really good in the World Baseball Classic.
Yep.
Like those types of players are going to start resetting that market. Do that before they can beat you to it. With Bryce Terang, it's too late. You're not resetting that market. And if I'm Bryce Terang, if the Brewers aren't offering me something that starts with a 2, I'm not taking it.
Got a text to my phone from our guy Shannon that we both know, sales guy here. Says, Terang's playing great and all, and the WBC is cool, but let's not pretend Terang didn't absolutely disappear in the postseason. He needs to put it all together.
80% of the team did when it came to that Dodger series, man.
So I called up Terang's number. Terang, 9 games, 35 at-bats, 37 plate appearances, hit 114, the 162 on-base percentage, and a 229 slugging percentage in that series. He had a double and a home run out of those 9 games. He had 4 hits out of 35 at-bats. That is brutal. The previous year, in 24, only 3 games, only 11 at-bats, was 5 for 11 with 3 doubles, 2 stolen bases, hit 455, 500 on base, 720 slugging. Now, again, that's only 3 games versus 9 that it was in 25. The Dodgers owned everybody in that series for the most part. But that again, that was only at the end.
Right. And William Contreras bat 235 in the playoffs last year. Christian Yelich bat 182. Sal Frelick bat 161. Andrew Vaughn bat 154. Everybody was bad.
The whole team was bad. John in Franklin, you're next on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text Line on Wisconsin Sports Daily. What's up, John?
What's up, Sparky? Is my destiny as a Brewers fan, as I'm trying to get excited about the start of the real baseball season, we got to be talking about how we don't have enough money to pay the guys that are doing a good job for us.
I mean, he's here for another 3 years no matter what, unless they were to trade him, which they won't.
Unless there's a possibility that we're going to have a change of ownership in the next couple of years, they're going to have to, if they can, scratch another lottery ticket like they did with Cheerio, with Mate, and hope that he's going to produce the way it would appear on paper that he's going to produce, because we can't afford anybody that's already accomplished anything for a sustained period of time in this town. Or we're not going to afford it by choice, whichever it is. And if If Terang's going to price himself out of the market, then let him do that. Because I don't want to be like hoping my players aren't like just crushing it because, oh no, we're going to have to give them up. At least we'll have to give up a good asset. And if we fall back to the mean like Vegas thinks we are, well, then maybe we can get something for them if that's how it's going to go.
They're not going to, John. Thanks for the call. Don't worry about that. I understand the frustration. I understand the emotions that tie into it, right? You get a jersey and you're like, oh man, this is cool. And then that player's gone. You're like, damn. Like I just saw a video. It was on X. It may have been taken off of Instagram, but I think it was on X. The Badgers, by the way, all of a sudden, I just looked up. What the hell happened?
I've been watching for the past couple of minutes. Yeah, they have been blowing.
What the hell happened?
Interior defense. They have not been able to stop Washington in the paint. So
their Badgers are only up 1 with 8 seconds to go in the second half of this game.
Just getting hammered in the paint.
They were up by double digits this whole game. Mm-hmm. Now they're only up 1.
And Andrew Rohde is
and it's Washington's ball?
Yep, Andrew Rohde's at the line. He's 0 for 3 on free throws today. This is not looking great at the moment.
Good God, man. Anyways, as I was saying, I saw a video on X, and it's a Miami Dolphins fan. And he starts with a jersey, and he just drops one jersey after another. And it's all these players, good players, that he bought jerseys of, and none of them are on the team anymore. It's just one after another after another. And then the last one is Tua. Poof, gone, because now he's with the Atlanta Falcons. That's how it is to be a Brewers fan. There's no question. But that's why when they sign Braun to a gigantic contract, you're like, okay, I'm going to buy this jersey because I know he's here for a while. When they sign Yelich to a long-term deal, I'm going to buy that jersey. I know he's here a while. And what happened? Braun got busted for cheating. Yelich ruined his knee and had back issues after that. And now they signed Churio to a long-term deal. So Churio is a good bet to take care of that or to buy that jersey. If they sign Madej to a contract, go buy the jersey. Even if you buy a Terang jersey, you've got it for 4 years. It's this year and 3 more. That's worth $150 or whatever they charge for these jerseys nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, too much money for the jerseys. Yeah, I say go out there and get these jerseys for these players and enjoy them while you can. First of all, I love the
By the way, Rohde hit both free throws, so they're up 3 with 8 seconds to go.
I love the obscure jerseys. So if you want to go out and get these players, like you shouldn't be mad that these players are leaving. That's the business.
What do you mean you shouldn't be mad that these players are leaving? Of course you should be mad that these players are leaving.
When it comes to the jerseys,
they're some of your best players.
When it comes to buying the gear and stuff like that, like you shouldn't, like I don't think it's worthwhile to be like, oh, I need to burn this jersey now because this guy's gone.
Nobody burns jerseys unless it's Brett's.
Well,
go ahead.
Here, they don't burn jerseys unless it's Brett. Some of these teams, it doesn't matter like who the player is. They feel like just doing that. Like it's not throw away a jersey because a guy is leaving type of thing. Like enjoy that you got that and that you felt that passion in that moment to get that player's jersey and enjoy that. You know, yeah, you can be mad that overall in the grand scheme of things that he left, but not enough to just be like, oh, I'm wasting money on these jerseys. Enjoy that you have that.
One here from the 262 on the Nicolay Law Talk and text line. From Ziggy, priced out of Milwaukee? Not yet. If I'm Matt Arnold, I'm approaching Terang with a Yelly-like contract now. Say 7 years at $160 million, Charlie. 7 years, 160. Get him locked down while your pitching staff is still cheap. That's from Ziggy. Now, 7 at 160, that is what? I'm just watching the end of this game here for a second. Game over. Badgers win. They tried a 3, missed it. Washington got the rebound, put it in, but 2 is not 3. And the Badgers win 85-84, survive and advance on that one. So 7 at 160.
About $22 million a year, almost $23 million a year.
That could get it done. That would be in the range of getting that down.
Brewers aren't going to offer that.
But again, having said that, if you look at Terang, he's making $4.15 million. By the time he gets through arbitration, what's he going to be at? 15, 16, 17 million? So you're paying, if you do it now, you're going to be paying Terang way more money the next 3 years than you have to. That is not the Brewers' way of doing things, overpaying if they don't have to.
No, and I think Bryce Terang still needs 2 more seasons of playing like he has the past half season, and then maybe he'll be worth that to the Brewers.
that number could be significantly higher, though, if you wait
That's
2
the
more
problem.
years. I mean,
But then maybe you have to spend money by that point, so might as well.
Yeah, that very well may be. Dominic and Hales, way to jinx the Badgers, Sparky. LOL.
Yeah, right.
They won. I survived. It's okay. I probably did jinx them after I said that. But I remember I said, barring a collapse, sure, you know what? They collapse immediately and they barely win. Don Wojczulis, College Sports Weekly here on Saturday mornings from 7 to 9. He'll join, or from 9 to 11, I should say. Charlie Usen, Dan Underberg, all those guys. He'll join us coming up next from the United Center. Badgers get the win and advance. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Here it comes. Just takes a little while, but we'll get there.
First miss in the second half. Carrington out to Rhodey for three. No good.
They just keep coming, don't they, with those threes?
Coming back at you. Wisconsin got it back. Carrington drives and one. Wisconsin starting to take over here in Chicago.
You know, what they didn't tell you on the Big Ten Network describing that play was Carrington, that was a headfirst dive to steal to get the ball back after that Rhodey miss. That's how the Badgers got the ball back, still on that same side of the court. And then Carrington gets the ball back and goes and scores. Just all-out hustle play by Carrington. Unfortunately, they choked that whole lead away. Joining us now from College Sports Weekly, Don Wojczulis joins us here on the guest hotline. Powered by Gruber Law, one call, that's all. We only got a couple minutes left. How in the world did they blow a double-digit lead at the end?
Well, Steve, all you got to do is look at the rebounding. We had no presence in the middle on the offensive side. They got out-rebounded by 8 at 20-12. And then overall, it was a 45-29 advantage. And when you watch that game, especially as that lead got whittled away, it was second, if not third chance opportunities for the Huskies that got them right back in it.
34 for John Blackwell, 23 for Nick Boyd. That was the offense. And Charlie and I talked about this while the game was going on. This is fine for this game, but they must have Nolan Winter back if they're going to do anything in the tournament.
Yeah, you know, and Will Garlock checks into the game, and I thought, okay, because his first minute or two was really productive, and then he just fell off the wayside. And again, it goes to what was taking place in the paint, and I agree. You've got to have Nolan Winter to do what Nolan Winter does if they're going to have any chance of advancing once the big dance comes.
Or you need somebody else to step up. Like Austin Rapp, if he can at least stretch the court and do something offensively to pull a big guy away from the basket, that also would help.
It would help, but again, that rebounding disadvantage that we saw today on the stat line is something that's got to be addressed, especially once we get into survive and advance mode in the big dance, not only here at the Big Ten tournament.
Get more on all of your favorite college sports actions, D1 to D3, with Don Wojczulis of College Sports Weekly, Dan Underberg, Saturday mornings, 9 to 11 here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. I appreciate you checking in, buddy. Have a safe drive back from the United Center.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Take care. There he is, Don Wojczulis. Again, Saturday mornings, 9 to 11. Coming up next, our green and gold update. An interesting report out there by Tom Silverstein, Packers beat writer, about one player that's definitely not coming back to the Packers. We'll get to Charlie Sounds of the day at 4:20. Things that Sparky missed coming up at 4:40. Plus, you'll hear from Greg Gard. You'll hear from Blackwell after this game, too, coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Reserve your seat today so you can go watch all your favorite hoops action. Go to Potawatomi.com. Nominal fee goes towards your food and beverage. Go now, Potawatomi.com. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, Charlie Usen, hanging out here. Hope y'all are doing well on a Thursday. I was seeing the weather models. Green Bay, Wausau. Woo. The snow y'all are going to get. Southeastern Wisconsin could just be rain, a couple inches. I don't think it's going to be too much here, but the rest of y'all, prayers, because that is going to be a potential for a lot of snow. But again, we'll get better numbers on that as we get closer. I just can't believe, well, I mean, I should have lived here my whole life that we're going to get snow in March, but seriously.
You got fooled by the 70-degree day, Sparky?
I mean, our kid's first travel baseball game is April 7th. Now it's like, are we going to have...
It'll be melted by then. You know Wisconsin.
But are we going to have more snow before April 7th?
Probably.
Better
We'll probably have more snow after April 7th, too.
I'll never forget the one year. My birthday is May 27th, and it was snowing outside one year on my birthday.
It happens.
No, it does
live
not.
In Wisconsin.
Does
it
not,
happens.
and it should not. That should not be a thing. Either way. Coming up this hour, Green and Gold update here in the first segment. Charlie Sounds of the Day. We moved around to get down with Wojczulis on after that Badger game was done. And we'll hear from those guys as well coming up in a little bit. Greg Gard, Blackwell, and Nick Boyd all at the table right now doing their press conference. And then we'll get to Things Sparky Missed coming up at 4:40. So again, that comes up at 4:40 today. Now, since it's the top of the 4 o'clock hour, let's go. All right. By the way, I didn't say what this final was there. Wisconsin won 85-82 over Washington, 5 over the 12. Sean Blackwell, career high, 34 points, 10 boards, 2 steals in the game for the Badgers. So Badgers advance in the Big Ten tournament. Okay, let's talk about the Green Bay Packers. Tom Silverstein, Packers beat writer. You've heard him numerous times here on the show. I put a story out there today and posted it on X that, according to his sources, regardless of what happens with Emmanuel Wilson in free agency, the Packers will not be bringing him back. And the question is a simple and easy one for you. And that simply is, how would you go about replacing Emmanuel Wilson if you are the Green Bay Packers? In the piece that Tom Silverstein wrote, he talked about Chris Brooks, who they already signed and brought back for next year. Chris Brooks has been that third running back. And Tom points out that he believes he'll be the third running back again. Do you know what I found interesting about that article by Tom Silverstein?
What's that?
The no-named running back that we refuse to talk about on this show is not even mentioned in the story as a potential as the backup running back to the starting running back, Josh Jacobs. And Chris Brooks is penciled in as 3. So it's almost like the assumption is the no-named running back, who they drafted a couple of years ago, is potentially going to be the 4th running back on the roster.
I'm going to name him because people are going to be confused.
Go Google it. He's been hurt all the time, constantly. You know who I'm talking about.
But that's part of the reason.
He hasn't played in back-to-back games. No.
That's part of the reason that M. Lloyd is not being talked about in that spot. If he can't stay on the field, like, realistically, is he going to make it through camp for this team at this rate? Like, if they're going to go and bring out 3 other running backs, draft a running back out of those 3, I mean, you're going to have competition in that room. And for a guy that's not even competing in the competition for 3 straight years, you can't rely on that going into the season. Honestly, even on a practice squad role, you got to give somebody else a shot in that spot. At this rate, this Packers running back room is going to look completely different outside of Josh Jacobs. And if Josh Jacobs were to get hurt at some point in the season, because last year he played that entire year somehow surviving on like one leg, a broken arm, it felt like sometimes, like he was just constantly going out there with banged up, that there's a shot he may not play every single game this season. You have to find somebody reliable enough in that room at the 2nd string, at the 3rd string even, and the unnamed player hasn't been able to say you could be reliable enough to be even a 3rd string guy at this rate.
The top running back on the board that I was able to find on ESPN's best available as of an hour ago is Brian Robinson. And he's like 49th on the list as far as best available. The best available player on the list on ESPN right now, Rasheed Walker. the offensive tackle, still sitting there. And then Kyler Murray is 2. I believe Kyler Murray is visiting Minnesota, I think.
And I'm pretty sure they're going to sign.
I would assume so. Yes, that would make sense.
So he's not walking out of that building without a contract.
But again, if we start talking about running backs, and what essentially is out there when this whole thing is said and done, that to me is something where you're not going to want to pay a lot of money. You're going to want to pay near veteran minimum because you want to spend more money elsewhere at this point. Now, another guy that we look at or we can talk about here, Tyler Algier was out there. He went to the Cardinals. Rico Dodell was out there. He went to the Steelers. Kenneth Gainwell was out there. He went to the Bucs. J.K. Dobbins stays. Kenneth Walker went to the Chiefs. Travis Etienne went from Jacksonville to the Saints. Chris Rodriguez went from Washington to Jacksonville. Keaton Mitchell, who I know Packer fans wanted, went from Baltimore to the Chargers. So Isaiah Pacheco, he left. He went from the Chiefs to the Lions. Rashad White went from Tampa Bay to Washington. So those are the guys that are gone already. Now when you start talking about available guys, Joe Mixon's out there. We like Joe Mixon. Najee Harris, Austin Eckler, Antonio Gibson, Nick Chubb. Let's see who else is out of here of note. Raheem Mostert, who gave the Packers nightmares back in the day with the Niners.
A.J. Dillon.
Kareem Hunt. I don't want A.J. Dillon. No, I don't.
Some guy named Julius Chestnut. I don't even know who that is. That's an awesome name, though.
Yeah, there's all kinds of names on here that you may or may not know at this point. I mean, there are a lot of running backs out here that you potentially could come in to get at a relatively reasonable price and be able to use going forward. The question is, what type of back do you want that to be with Josh Jacobs? In my mind, I want that back to be a quicker, smaller back. I don't need another bruiser like Josh Jacobs. That's why I quickly shot down the A.J. Dillon deal. A.J. Dillon with Aaron Jones, that made sense. A quicker back with a more physical back. Okay, I get down with that. I don't want 2 physical backs. That I don't want.
No. And I think when you look at the team the first half of the season last year and the type of pass plays that they were running, there was a lot of screen passes, a lot of stuff within that 5-yard lane where you could give your players opportunities to go out there and make a play themselves. And I think with this backup running back spot, A, you either want a blocking back who can go out there and be that type of guy, or B, be that type of player who gives you another option in those screen plays, in those out of the backfield passing options. Austin Eckler is that guy. And I know last season he was nowhere near that type of player, especially for the past couple of seasons that he was when he was in LA, San Diego playing there. I think this is a spot in Green Bay where you can kind of help him, maybe not rejuvenate his career, but give him a little bit of a boost. We talked about it with some of these older players like Javon Hargrave, who they signed yesterday at the defensive tackle spot. If you put the right players around some of these veteran guys that have shown that talent in the past, you can get those flashes for periods. And sometimes for a Packers team, when you're just looking for a depth piece, you only need those flashes sometimes.
But when you talk about that, would they dare invest a draft pick into that running back position again after what's happened with No Name and how that's completely blown up in their face? Because again, from a talent standpoint, No Name has the ability to be very, very good from a talent standpoint. Like there were comparisons of, kind of looks like Reggie Bush a little bit. Maybe he's a little bit like Reggie Bush. That was kind of the deal. I was super excited when they drafted this kid. Very excited. 2 years in, can't stay healthy. Not as excited anymore because I can't get my hopes up anymore. But I think going into the draft, if you're going to say, okay, we're going to take a draft on day 3, I'm not taking a running back on day 2. I'll take one on day 3. Give me a running back that is a third down back, that's elusive, and is a home run threat. Brooks is not a home run threat. Josh Jacobs is not a home run threat. Get me that guy that if he gets his hands on the ball, from 5 yards out on a little crossing pattern out of the backfield, can go up the sidelines and be gone. That's something they don't have right now. That's something I think they could use.
Not in the backfield, but they have that in their wide receiver room. They have players. You saw that with Christian Watson when they ran that little slant against the Bears and he took it to the house. It was that simple. Tucker Kraft, when you get him the ball within 5 yards, has any given time, the ability to go for a touchdown just because of how physical of a player he is and how well he stays on his feet during plays like that. Matthew Golden should be like that moving forward, and you should be able to use him in that way. Jaden Reed as well. You have that talent in the wide receiver room, which is why I don't, I guess, necessarily think you need that in this running back room. I think you need those players that are going to go out there and be aggressive blockers, that are going to go out there and do their jobs, that don't automatically include that just running the ball side of things. You have to be able to do everything else, because Josh Jacobs is always willing to do everything else. Emmanuel Wilson was always willing to do everything else. And Chris Brooks even is willing to do everything else. You need somebody that fits into that room with this team and is ready to not be that star, but be able to help other guys be that star.
You look at the top combine as far as 40-yard dash times this year. Mike Washington Jr. of the Arkansas, now he's not small. He's 6'1", 4.33 40. Jeremiah Love, he's going in the top 3 to top 5, 4.36 40. Then Damon Claiborne from Wake Forest, a 4.37. Jam Miller from Alabama, 4.42. Eli Heidenreich from Navy, a 4.4 40. So those are some of the guys that you can look at and go, okay, find me a home run threat. The problem is that goes along with this person has to be able to catch the football out of the backfield as well. If the person doesn't have good hands, I don't want them, because this isn't going to be I'm giving it to you and only handing it off. You have to be able to catch the football out of the backfield.
I think the benefit to the Packers is, though, that the college football, it feels like almost every running back nowadays has to have that ability in order to help out some of these quarterbacks, especially when they aren't the most talented quarterback on some big time teams going across here. It's been a lot of these running backs, again, tight ends in the short field. They're playing a lot more of this NFL style offense. So a lot of these young running backs are coming in with that ability to catch the ball already. I think the Packers shouldn't have such a hard time finding a player that can fill that type of role through the draft. It's more in free agency, the older players that haven't done that before. That's why Austin Eckler is interesting, because he's really the only guy that has that as one of his main keys in his bag.
I don't know, man. Like, I'm looking at this Mike Washington cat a little bit more, because I looked up Damon Claiborne, who we were just talking about, hands not as good as Washington. Claiborne smaller, like 5'10", even though Washington's 6'1", he's got much better hands than a lot of these dudes that you're looking at in this upcoming draft. And they're projected him for, well, he's ranked as the 6th best running back on the website I'm at right now. So there's a very good chance that he very well could be a potential fourth round pick.
And I wouldn't be mad about that. If the Packers wanted to go and use one of their draft picks for that, I think that's fair. As long as then you're really tapping into that cornerback room. You're really tapping into one more defensive tackle at least, maybe getting into your offensive lineman. As long as you hit your other keys, getting a running back in this draft, I think would be a smart play.
I think that's kind of what we're looking at here, is trying to find that guy that can take it to the house. And the other part about this is that we always talk about, have to be able to block, right? They're not going to put you in there if you can't pass block for Jordan Love. So you might be able to do everything, but if they can't trust you to pass block and potentially you're going to get Jordan Love killed because you can't pick up a blitzer, that also becomes a problem. And that's a majority of the reason I think Chris Brooks is back with his Green Bay Packers running back group, is because he is really good at picking up those blitzing running backs and doing his job.
And that's what Matt LaFleur talks about all the time. It's not about how fast you are or how high you can jump. It's whether or not you're going to be an aggressive blocker. You don't have to be the best blocker. You just have to want to do the job. Every one of his wide receivers, every one of his tight ends, every one of his running backs, he asks that of them. And even to some degree, when you watch Jordan Love down the field, he's willing to at least put his body in harm's way to get his guys more yards.
Which I don't want. I don't like that. I don't want that. We can stay away from that Jordan Love. Josh Allen does that same type of goofy stuff. We don't need to do that. We don't need to do it. Hey, can you feel it? The thrill of witnessing a walk-off grand slam. How about a buzzer-beating 3? And Sparky, you know the feeling. There's only one place to experience that raw exhilaration: the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Catch all the action in Supreme Space, dozens of sports betting kiosks, cool drinks, 48 beers on tap, dozen different special cocktails, luxury seating, 2 levels, great food, full menu at the Potawatomi Sportsbook Kitchen, homemade desserts and pastries each and every day, all-day brunch, again, plus that full menu, fiery atmosphere, and a monster video wall, 2,000 square feet, up to 30 sporting events at one time. Only at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I say they're the best in the Midwest. More info at Potawatomi.com. Reserve your seat ahead of time as well. Nominal fee goes towards your food and beverage. Again, Potawatomi.com. Must be 21 to enter the casino. And don't forget, a week from today, we take the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network out to the Potawatomi Casino Hotel. We'll be in the annex room doing our shows from the 9 to noon show. John Kuhn will be there. Ronnie Mackloff will be there. Thunder will be there with the Mason Crosby show. And then I'll be out there with the Wisconsin Sports Daily all day long, watching hoops and doing our show. Come on out, hang out with us at the annex at the Potawatomi Casino Hotel coming up next Thursday. Up next, Charlie's Sounds of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, Charlie Usen over there. Still to come, things Sparky missed. We'll play some of the post sound from after the Badgers game coming up in things Sparky missed today. We'll hear from Greg Gard, Blackwell, Boyd, both of them having big days. Blackwell with a career high in points today with 34 points, 10 rebounds, couple assists, a couple of steals in the game for him as well, which was a beautiful thing. And then Nick Boyd, he contributed 23 points, 3 boards, 9 assists, and a steal for Boyd. Without those two, the Badgers would have got absolutely destroyed. And as was, they were leading by double digits most of the game and choked it away at the end. It was a 1-point game at one point with 8 seconds to go, and the Badgers able to hold on to win that one. So that was a good thing. All right, Charlie Usen, where to first?
First up, we're going to head on over to the Baltimore Ravens, where Eric DeCosta, GM of the team, finally talked with the media yesterday, just about right as we were finishing our show. He went live with the Ravens. He had this to say about the Max Crosby, Trey Hendrickson situation.
I mean, I understand it. I understand it. We live in that age of skepticism and people question, especially people that don't really know me or know the Ravens culture and the Ravens organization. So I understand it. As I said at the beginning, we've got a responsibility. I've got a responsibility to the Ravens, to this community, to our fans, and to Steve Bisciotti to do what we think is best for the club. And that's what we always try to do. Every decision we make is based on this idea. Is this the best thing for the Ravens? It's very, very challenging. Again, I understand how people might maybe from afar would feel that way, but nobody's more upset about this than me. Gutted by it, actually. And so a big regret for me. But we will move on as a football team. And I think there's many, many opportunities for us to grow as a team, to become a better team, to build a roster, and to be the team that we want to be.
With all due respect, I don't believe you. I watched it, and I will say that Tom Pelissero I have an immense amount of respect for Pelissero. Because last night I was watching that Insiders program on NFL Network. Garofalo, right? That was one of them, Mike Garofalo. Just, you got to believe him. Like, you could just tell how much he was, how much they were trying to do this. And why would you get all these doctors, right? You could have just had your team doctor say that. And why would you do all of this if you never had any intent of keeping them at the end of the day and so forth? First of all, within that report from Garofalo, they all agreed that he's going to play this year and he's going to be fine. They all agreed, every one of them. Ian Rappaport, he jumped in, all of them. Do you know who stayed quiet through that whole conversation?
Who's that?
Tom Pelissero didn't say a word. Because remember, Pelissero went absolutely off on him. And I'm sure Pelissero probably hasn't changed his mind or his opinion on how that whole situation was handled and how the Baltimore Ravens did business. It was a horrible, horrible way to go about things. And if they couldn't have gotten that deal done with Hendrickson, I firmly believe there is no chance that deal falls through with Max Crosby. Max Crosby, it sounds like, thought that whole day was strange to begin with, that everybody was kind of acting weird. Like, he's in the building with the coaches and everything else while they're trying to cut a deal with Hendrickson on the backside. And then they announce Crosby is gone, and the very next day, you announce you got Hendrickson? That doesn't look weird to anybody? And then Hendrickson, now, whether this was DeCosta telling him this or how this was all playing, I don't know. Hendrickson claims that they were selling me that it was going to be Crosby and I at defensive end. Let's take another angle to this. There was a lot of conversation that they were trying to get Lamar Jackson to restructure his contract to free up like $40 million or something insane like that.
And they were also saying that Tyler Linderbaum they weren't going to let walk out of the building, and then Isaiah Likely they weren't going to let walk out of the building. That
Lamar Jackson deal never got done, correct?
Nope.
No. So again, Could it be that they couldn't get the Lamar Jackson deal restructured and then they had to pick? And when you have to pick, I can get one without giving up any draft picks, so I pick the other guy. And when this all started, could it be that they were hoping to get the Lamar Jackson deal done, and then they could have afforded both guys, and it would have went forward? You are not going to sell me or convince me that you found something so catastrophic to think that he wasn't going to play this year or that he was going to miss 2 months out of the year. Never at any point did DaCosta say, we fear he's going to miss the first 2 months of the season. We fear he's going to miss the first 3 months of the season. He never said what they found. He never said how this would impact his season. He never went there. Want to know why? Because he doesn't got it. He doesn't have anything. He doesn't have anything more than he had before this whole thing started. And you don't have to provide evidence of why you failed somebody on a physical. But he would have failed a physical with anybody trading for him because he's not 100%. And any team trading for Max Crosby knew that before this whole thing started. Spare me all of this crap from Eric DaCosta. All right, where to next?
And I don't think he would have said anything about this whole situation if he wasn't forced to. And I think that's the other thing. Is that it's even worse that he wouldn't have said anything. That he would have just hid away if nobody had asked him to do this. And then they said, "This is your job. Go out there and talk to the media." And he's just going to go out there and like blatantly lie. It's just weird. It's so weird. Next up, we're going to head on over to CBS, where John Fanta was talking with Danny Hurley, head coach of UConn basketball. And Hurley was once again defending himself for his outburst against Marquette in that final game of the regular season.
There's a line, that you can't cross, and I'm fortunate enough that I didn't cross it and and make contact with John. John's a great ref. If I had a game with my life on the line and I'm looking for somebody that's just going to call a fair whistle, an official that's strong and is kind of easy to deal with, because there's a lot of give and take with John. John is like the perfect ref to ref one of my games because he's a strong official. He's a tough guy. And, it's a little bit scary that I put myself in a position where I got that close to making contact with the official. I think I've been a pretty good boy all year for the most part. I did get a tee in the tunnel, earlier in the year. So, which, the league said, or at least the head of officials said, that technical should not have been called. So, I don't know. John, I wish that I would say that Saturday night that the media had an opportunity to get the official game report where they could have seen that John said I made no contact with him.
So we were all deceived by the cameras?
I guess. Apparently the media needs a report to tell them what their eyes told them, or didn't tell them, according to Hurley. Crazy.
Brando called the game. Go back and look at it on X, and he said there's no doubt there was contact. And now he's saying, nope, you're all wrong. Everybody that watched it on TV, including those that were sitting there, you were all wrong. Nothing ever happened.
This ref that you're calling so strong and willed, and he knows what he's doing, and that all these other things, that he just made that up in the moment to give you a tee for fun?
No chance.
Like, are you kidding me? Dude?
No. I mean, God bless him. And he might be right that, in that referee pool report or whatever else that he put in there that, I teed him up for no reason and there was no contact.
Right.
Like, that guy should be reprimanded if that's the case. That referee should be fined or something if that actually is true to what Hurley is saying. I saw something earlier today. I forgot who recommended it, but somebody recommended that how great would it be that his brother, who just got fired from Arizona State, if he ends up in the Big East, get a coaching job somewhere in the Big East to coach against them.
That'd be fun.
Hurley versus Hurley.
Oh, just have them yelling at each other from across the sideline.
Wouldn't that be
awesome? Yeah, okay, I'd watch that. Like Xavier versus UConn.
I want no Hurleys coaching Marquette, so just pass me on the Hurleys at Marquette. Okay, go ahead.
And last up here, we're going to head over to Sirius XM NBA Radio, where Frank Isola was talking with Brian Scalabrine on that show, discussing the Clippers potentially facing harsh punishment for the ongoing aspiration investigation.
Is locked in, they're good, but they have moments like this. That game was over early. You could just tell. Like, Kawhi Leonard Yeah, we keep saying this. Like, I know he's dealing with all kinds of stuff with aspirations, and are the Clippers good? New trades. The guy just keeps hooping.
I heard, now I have no idea if this is true. I heard it could be 3 first-round picks that they get hit with.
Oh, they don't have 3 first-round picks.
Yeah, that's why. Down the road. Well, they're not going to give them away. They're just not going to draft in the first round, whatever 3 years it would be. And then it's going to be a lot of money. Millions upon millions.
Right.
More than 30, I heard.
So let me see if I'm to believe this. First of all, I love Scalabrine. He's been on with us before. I love Brian. And Isola is entertaining. I'm supposed to believe that the NBA didn't know any of this was going on, that nobody knew what the Clippers were doing this whole time. Nobody in the league knew, with as much as every scout talks and as much as all these coaches talk to one another and all these front office people talk to one another. I mean, I'll just tell you from working in radio, everybody talks. I mean, not everybody, but most people know each other that work at all the different radio stations around the state or around the city you live in, or in some parts, in some cases around the country, because you worked with them here and now they moved on. They're working over here in that state or working over here in that state. And if something crazy happens somewhere, you're calling your buddy that works with that person. Like, dude, what happened, man? What's going on? Oh, man, this blah, 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 blah. And you find out, right? It's not public, but you know. And you're telling me nobody at the league offices knew anything about this to just now when all of this got outed on them? I don't know.
Well, and I think that's part of the reason a guy like Pablo Torre on his podcast, Pablo Torre Finds Out, is pushing this so hard and investigating this so hard. It's because the only ongoing investigation going on is the NBA's own personal ongoing investigation. Adam Silver's done by a third-party group that he hires and brings in and pays them to do this job. And every single time that any of these leagues have a problem like this, they do that because they know that third-party investigator is just going to give up like the easiest thing in order to brush the rest of it away or not get anybody in trouble. And they'll say, there's no wrongdoing. We'll figure this out. Otherwise, this needs more. This needs more to the story. And that's
He's
why
got
Pablo
way
Torre,
too much evidence on all of this.
it's going to go like to the government. And that's where they can't hide anything anymore. Where Adam Silver may very much be screwed in a situation like this if he did know what was going on. And there's a lot of evidence pointing to he knew what was going on.
That's my issue with the Isola thing is, okay, so you're going to go punish him, but you're telling me you didn't know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if he knew or not. I'm just saying I find it hard to believe that he didn't know what was going on, considering how much everybody talks in professional sports leagues from team to team. And then not even to mention team to team. How about team to reporters, team to media members, officials to players to coaches and so forth? Guys out having dinner together, talking about
uncles
the
of
rumor
players
mill.
talking about with other uncles of players, dude. That stuff
Yes.
gets around with anything.
Right. Golly. All right. What's the third one?
That was 3.
Oh, that was 3. Yeah. Very good. All right. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We'll take the time out, come back on the other side. Things that we missed on today's show. We'll get you caught up on that Badgers game. They beat Washington 85-82. Play back some of the highlights that happened in that game and let you hear from some of the stars of the game and Greg Gard included. All of that and more coming up. Things Sparky missed, brought to you by the Admirals. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in, Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you here on a Thursday. Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up with Tommy Wirtz comes up from 5 until 6 o'clock tonight. Again, 5 to 6, Tommy Wirtz with Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up. Don't forget, coming up on Tuesday, St. Patrick's Day, this show, Wisconsin Sports Daily, will be on the road at Moe's Irish Pub in Wauwatosa right there on Highway 100. Looking forward to being out there from 2 until 5 on Tuesday. They're going to have Irish dancers performing in the 1 o'clock hour out there if you are into watching Irish dancers. Went to the Milwaukee Wave game with the Cub Scout troop last weekend on Sunday. They had Irish dancers on the field, not in like their costumes, but in like Milwaukee Wave stuff, doing their whole thing at the Milwaukee Wave game. I can't even imagine how busy you are if you are a parent of somebody in an Irish dance group on St. Patrick's week.
Some of my cousins, they were in Irish dance, and they had like these big tournaments and stuff just all the time. Yeah, well, they would do like the showcases, like stuff where you go out there with your team.
And you compete.
Yeah, or your partner. They were twins, so I think they did it together. Just one of them did it. I don't really remember. It's been a while since they did.
Yeah.
But yeah, you would go out do these big tournaments and stuff. It's crazy. I bet on St. Patrick's Day, it's all over the place, all over every city. It's just crazy how popular it is. You don't think about it.
Hugely popular. Absolutely hugely popular. No question. Got some news from the Green Bay Packers earlier today. As we've talked about, there is a potential for a pretty big snowstorm rolling through Wisconsin. Green Bay and Wausau, I think, are going to get hit the worst, potentially. And it's supposed to hit Sunday into Monday. And the Green Bay Packers sent out a press release earlier today that Monday's celebration of life and legacy of Bob Harlan and the Lambeau Field atrium has been rescheduled out of an abundance of caution for the safety of all due to the forecasted winter storm. The event will now be held from 3:30 to 5 o'clock on Monday, March 23rd. The event will now be held again Monday, March 23rd. The visitation and funeral mass at St. Patrick's Xavier Cathedral have also been postponed until March 23rd, with visitation set from 11 a.m. to 1:45. To be followed by a mass of Christian burial at 2 o'clock. Fans preparing to attend the event at the Lambeau Field atrium are advised of several details to keep in mind. The event will take place on the main level of the Lambeau Field atrium, and it will be general admission, standing room only. Attendees are asked to park in the Lambeau Field lots 5 and 6, access off of Ridge Road on the building's northwest side, and enter at the Miller Lite gate. So again, that event that was supposed to be this Monday, the celebration of life and legacy of Bob Harlan, now moved to Monday, March 23rd from 3:30 to 5 p.m. So mark accordingly, if you will. The Wisconsin Badgers did their thing and won over Washington in the Big Ten tournament today, 85-82. Earlier in that game, I literally was like, there was like, I don't know, 5 minutes left, 6 minutes left. I looked up and I said, man, they've been leading by double digits this whole time. Like, they would literally have to collapse to really screw this thing up. They've been in control. And I didn't really look up at the TV the rest of the times we're doing a talk show. I'm not really paying attention to it. The next thing I know, I look up, there's 8 seconds left. Badgers up 1. And Charlie's like, yeah, they kind of blew it. They couldn't get a rebound and had nobody inside stopping them. Because again, no Nolan Winter. Rhodey hits a couple of free throws to make the score 85-82. And then Washington got the ball, attempted a 3, missed it. Then there was a putback. So it was 85-84. Then they must have determined he didn't get off in time. So made it back to 85-82. Just absolutely crazy. And again, it's all about this backcourt for the Wisconsin Badgers.
Wrapped into the corner. Wide open Blackwell. Buries another one.
You know what I've learned today, Jeff? Blackwell likes the corners.
Very astute.
Thank you.
Very astute indeed. Blackwell with a career high today at Wisconsin with a big game of 34 points, 14 of 24 from the field, 6 of 12 from 3, 10 boards. a couple of assists and a couple of steals. The other guy that played really well was Nick Boyd, who had 23 points and 8 of 15 shooting, 5 of 6 from 3, a couple of free throws, 9 assists, 3 boards on the day for Nick Boyd. And when you have both of those guys and both playing at a high level, very, very hard to stop the Badgers when they have Nolan Winter. When they don't have Nolan Winter, then they become very beatable, and that's why you need Nolan Winter back for the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and they have Illinois next, which is always going to be a tough matchup for them. It's always going to be a hostile crowd, especially down in Chicago. These are the situations where this Badgers team really needs to step it up in the paint. They need to be able to be there and for those guards because they're always going to score. Those guys are going to score 20 a game. You don't have to worry about that. You have to worry about the paint.
Greg Gard after the game on the Big Ten Network.
Greg, a shake of the head there at the end of the game, perhaps a bit tighter than you would have liked. Take me through those last couple of minutes.
Well, we just seen it stops defensively. The back end of that second half. Give Washington credit. Obviously, they're playing desperate, and Diallo made some plays right from the start of the half. We lost a guy on a stagger screen and gave up a 3. So just defensively gave them too much confidence on their offensive end.
Offensively, especially in the second half, John was absolutely terrific. What did you see from him in that second half?
Yeah, teammates did a good job of finding him when we were doing some driving kicks, and then obviously he made some plays there. We put the ball in his hands there towards the end when we needed a bucket.
Now you look ahead to a matchup with the team that you were able to beat during the regular season. Your thoughts on that rematch?
They're really good. They're terrific. And I haven't watched a whole lot of them since then, but I'll have a busy night watching a lot of Illini.
A busy night is better than the alternative. Greg, congratulations.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, so there's Greg Gard talking about facing the Illini. And I will say this about Illinois, and it's not going to be anything new or different or whatever else. I think Underwood's a really, really good basketball coach, Brad Underwood. I think he's done a hell of a job at Illinois since he's obviously been there. Then you take that into consideration that they're very well coached. Then you sit here and you look at the Illini and you look at their stats and you realize that they're a very talented team with a lottery type player that is sitting there that the Badgers are going to have to deal with at the end of the day. And the last time they played them, Wagler was having a field day against the Badgers, and they were able to overcome him having a field day. Their last game was against Maryland. Keaton Wagler in that game didn't shoot well. 3 of 10, only 11 points, 34 minutes. When he played the Badgers, he went off. And they have to be able to control him. That is going to be a guy that's definitely in the lottery that they're going to have to worry about. And then, obviously, Merkovich is another guy that they have to control and make sure he doesn't eat him up on the boards inside, especially if you're not going to have Nolan Winter.
Well, Merkovich, and then you have the Ivisic brothers. I think that's how you say it. And they're both 7-footers.
Yep.
Like, you have to deal with 3 guys in the paint that are always going to outsize you. You really have to be perfect from the 3-point line, shooting the ball, and then playing that transition defense faster than they can. That's how you win this game. But if you can't do any of that stuff to like the top of your ability, you are probably going to lose this game.
Blackwell also after the game on the Big Ten Network.
Star of the game here with us alongside Jordan Taylor and Bruce Weber. I'm Dave Revson. And John, congratulations on this effort here. It got a little dicey there towards the end. Just kind of take us through the end of the game and what you're thinking.
We had to close that game out. It's on us as guards to close that game out. Defensively, we could have had something better, but it is what it is. It's March. You got to win and just keep moving on, one game at a time. I think we did a good job just closing out, get one stop, and we did that.
John, take us inside the huddle, man. Coach Gard, so good in the ATOs. You guys need a bucket, clear out the side, get to your right hand, take us through the huddle and what's going through your mind in that moment.
That I was going to take that shot or just make the right read. If the big was going to come up, I was going to drop it off to Alexis, but big didn't come up. I got to my pull-up to my spot and see out the game for it.
They want you to have the ball at the end, don't they? You won some game winners, but I want to go back to December. You guys were struggling. You lost a couple. I had your game, UWM. You guys, you kind of putzed around.
Yeah.
Purdue, then all of a sudden, what happened with the team? How'd you come together?
We just stuck together. it's December. You're going to take some L's. I think we did a good job of just the leaders just communicating with each other. Like, we got a long season ahead of us. There's a lot of games to be played, and we just trusted each other. We didn't stop getting out the gym, me and Nick in the gym every single day in the morning, and just kept working, and then it paid off in the end.
So there is Blackwell after the game. I'm not going to play the whole interview with them. But you know something? Last night, Marquette, their season ended, and they're all done. And Nigel James, who was the Big East Player of the Year, after that game was like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm coming back. I'm not going in the portal. I don't need to have anybody talking about me going in the portal because it's not happening, and I'm going to be here, and we're going to figure this thing out, and I got their back. And that's something to me that speaks a lot about the character of kids where they're not on a good team. That wasn't a good situation. Your coach has said he's going to go into the portal finally, Shaka Smart, and you say, no, I'm not leaving. Blackwell, kind of similar, right? Oh, I'm going to go see what the NBA draft has for me. Then realizes he doesn't get what he wants to hear as far as where he potentially could go in the NBA draft. He then could have went, I'm out. I'm going to go in the portal and try and find a better program. I'm going to go play at Duke. I'm going to go play at Kansas, whatever. He didn't and came back and played at Wisconsin. And you love to see now these kids have some success and now maybe get on a run if they can get Winter back.
Right. And give yourself that extra boost when it comes to next year's draft. I don't know. We talked about this on College Sports Weekly. Greg Gard has done a good job at not even really finding players that fit a system, but fit a culture more so. And that's what's so important. Every single player on this team fits that culture.
No doubt. Badgers, Illinois tomorrow, 1:30 tip tomorrow afternoon on the Big Ten Network, 1:30 tip tomorrow afternoon. So we'll go right back through this again. It'll be on during our show again tomorrow. We'll keep you updated and talk about that as it happens. Our thanks to Curt Hogg for joining us earlier today. Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel Brewers beat writer joined us at 3 o'clock. Don Wojczulis from College Sports Weekly, Saturday mornings from 9 to 11. He was at the United Center today and putting all kinds of great stuff on social media on X as far as the game was going on. He hopped on with us after the game, so thanks to him for coming on. Enjoy the rest of your night, Wisconsin. Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up with Tommy Wirtz is coming up next. That'll do it for Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Have a good night, Wisconsin. Toodles.